Pokemon Legends ZA introduced 45 new Mega Evolutions. They each have base stat totals that are 100 points higher than their base forms, with a couple of exceptions. But the distribution of their stats is also very important. So what's up fellas, I'm Matt, and today we're going to look at a few of the new Mega Evolutions and go over the highlights of their stat spreads. We'll also cover several other things I might have in store for us in the near future. Alright, let's get started. Someone at Game Freak sat down and said, hey, what if I stretched out the Starfish Pokemon and made it run around? Regular Starmie has seen quite a bit of success in competitive singles. It can go on the offensive with a variety of special moves, and it can use the ability Analytic to punish opponents for switching. But it also has access to Rapid Spin, so you can use it to get rid of hazards too. In recent years though, Starmie has started to fall off somewhat. In the first 6 generations of Smogon singles, it was hanging out in OU, which is the highest standard tier of competitive singles. In Gen 7, it dropped to the 2nd tier UU, and it fell even further in Gen 8. Despite dropping all the way to Sword and Shield NU though, it was still quite a solid Pokemon in the UU tier. Starmie's Mega Evolution is a much appreciated power boost, but it's also a pretty notable overhaul of its stat spread. Regular Starmie's base stat total is 520, but the Mega Evolution stats out to 660 as of now. A ton of those points got dumped into its physical attack stat, which went from 75 to 140. Like I mentioned in the intro, most Mega Evolutions only get a 100 point bonus, but Starmie got 140 extra points. So what gives? Well, we can make some inferences by looking at a few other Mega Evolution stats. In Gen 6 and 7, Mega Medicham had a base attack stat of 100, and Mega Mawile had 105. Both of them have abilities that double their attack on top of that, boosting their damage output to stratospheric levels. But abilities aren't available in Legends ZA, so Mega Medicham and Mega Mawile got base stat buffs to compensate. In these games only, their base attack stats are 140 and 147 respectively. Besides Starmie, they're the only Pokemon to gain more than 100 base stat points when they Mega Evolve in Legends ZA. As a result, many fans believe that Starmie is going to get an attack doubling ability as well. If that's the case, its base attack stat will probably be lowered by 40 points at Pokemon Champions. 100 base attack boosted by huge power is obviously nothing to sneeze at though. That would be the same as Mega Medicham, which was one of the better OU Pokemon back in the day. Plane over my house. Mega Medicham can learn High Jump Kick, which clocks in with an incredible base power of 130. As a result, Mega Medicham was one of the top wall breakers when it was available on the 3DS. Its damage output was among the absolute best in the game. Starmie doesn't have an ultra high power physical stab like High Jump Kick, but it was given a handful of new options to go along with the revamped stat spread. That includes Triple Axle for ice type coverage, as well as stabs like Liquidation and Zen Headbutt. So if it does in fact get huge power, it'll probably be out there on the battlefield taking names anyway. Starmie also got 30 extra points in special attack, 20 in both of its defenses, and 5 speed. That's all well and good, but its attack stat is probably going to be the most important change moving forward. Let's take a look at some more hard hitters. Regular Baxcalibur is quite a strong Pokemon, especially in singles formats. It's got a base attack stat of 145, as well as some great stab options. It can stick to one-hit moves like Glaive Rush, but it can also hold loaded dice, which makes multi-hit attacks more reliable. It can use this item in combination with Scale Shot and Icicle Spear, which both have the added benefit of not making contact. Scale Shot also boosts Baxcalibur's speed in exchange for 1 stage of defense. Baxcalibur can learn Dragon Dance to boost its power and speed as well. Alolan Ninetales was a good teammate for Baxcalibur in OU because it can set up Snow and Aurora Veil. That gives Baxcalibur a pretty big defensive boost, which makes it easier to set up Dragon Dances safely. On top of all that, Baxcalibur also has the ability Thermal Exchange. Not only does that make it immune to being burned, but it also boosts Baxcalibur's attack if it's hit by a fire move. Thanks to all of that, Baxcalibur ended up being banned from Gen 9 OU. Baxcalibur was already a strong Pokemon, but its Mega Evolution will make it hit even harder. Mega Baxcalibur has a base attack stat of 175, which is good for 7th highest in the entire game. So this guy's gonna hit like a truck as well. If you want to Mega Evolve your Baxcalibur though, you can't have it hold dice. That means multi-hit moves won't be as good, so its primary stabs will probably end up being Icicle Crash and Glaive Rush. We also don't know what ability Mega Baxcalibur will have. Maybe it'll keep Thermal Exchange, or maybe it'll get something new. Many of the points in this video should be taken with a grain of salt, because most of the new Mega Evolution's abilities have yet to be confirmed. Pokemon Champions could also implement balancing changes when it comes out, so we'll have to wait and see exactly what that game has in store. Now let's look at a Mega that hits really hard on the special side. Regular Chandelure has 145 base special attack, which is really solid. That's tied for the 2nd highest among Pokemon that aren't legendaries, mythicals, Ultra Beasts, or Mega Evolutions. Mega Chandelure has 175 special attack, which is tied for the 6th highest in the entire game with Mega Alakazam, as well as as Mega Heatran, which is also a new addition in Legend ZA. Mega Chandelure has access to Stab Overheat, which is one of the strongest fire moves in the game. If you don't want to deal with that move's drawback of -2 special attack, Flamethrower and Fire Blast are also good choices. Aside from that, it also gets Shadow Ball as a Ghost Stab, and covers moves like Energy Ball and Psychic. It also gets Dark Pulse, but that attack has limited applications since Ghost and Dark are super effective against the same types. Chandelure can also learn a variety of other useful moves, like Calm Mind and Trick. It's been reasonably successful in competitive contexts over the years, despite an unimpressive speed stat and a weakness to Stealth Rock. Mega Chandelure isn't much faster, and it can't hold boots to deal with hazards, but its damage output is nothing to sneeze at. While we're on the topic, you know what would be an evil ability choice? When Chandelure was first released in Gen 5, its hidden ability was Shadow Tag, which prevents opposing Pokemon from switching. That ability has done wonders for Mega Gengar, Gothitelle, and even Wobbuffet and Wynaut over the years, because trapping is such a powerful tool. Shadow Tag Chandelure was never released in Gen 5 though, and its hidden ability was changed to Infiltrator in Gen 6. I doubt the Game Freak is gonna do this, but it would be wild if they gave Shadow Tag to Mega Chandelure. Even after being nerfed multiple times, it's still a very strong ability. Mega Gengar nearly got banned from Ubers at one point, thanks in large part to this ability. Shadow Tag Mega Chandelure would probably clean house in a similar way, so I don't think they're gonna go that route. With all the power creep that's been happening in recent generations though, anything is possible. Speaking of anything being possible, it's time to talk about this flippin' madman. When Zygarde Mega evolves, its move Core Enforcer turns into Nihilite, which is another Dragon-type special attack. In a vacuum, that doesn't sound like the greatest move on Earth. Regular Zygarde is mostly a physical attacker, so Nihilite wouldn't fit on a lot of movesets. Oh, the Mega has the highest special attack stat in the game now? Right, that's new. On top of Mega Zygarde's base 216 special attack, Nihilite is a 200 base power move. Usually when an attack is this strong, there's some sort of downside or extra condition attached to it. If you want to use a Z move, you have to give your Pokemon a Z Crystal. Even if you do that, the Z move can only be used once per battle. Self-Destruct and Explosion are also incredibly strong moves, but they make the user go boom and faint. Nihilite has approximately none of that. On top of having no added negative effects, it actually has 2 positive ones instead. This move ignores the target's stat changes, and it bypasses immunities to hit fairy types. At a glance, Nihilite seems entirely overcooked, but let's take a closer look. Zygarde isn't going to be the easiest Pokemon to Mega Evolve, especially in doubles formats. Only the complete form can Mega Evolve, which you can't access until Zygarde loses half of its max health. In a fast-paced format like VGC, it's entirely possible that Zygarde will die before it can take full advantage of its Mega Evolution. Even if you did successfully get Zygarde down to half health, you'd still have more hurdles to deal with. There are a bunch of restricted Pokemon that can outspeed and kill Mega Zygarde before it has a chance to fire off a million Nihilites. It's worth noting that Zygarde can learn Substitute, which it could use to drain its own health relatively safely. You could also have your ally use a move like Pollen Puff or Heal Pulse on Zygarde, which would let it survive longer. There are plenty of options to reduce the damage it takes too, like Screens, Friend Guard, and Redirection. So when it comes to activating Nihilite, Mega Zygarde probably won't be entirely helpless, but the complete form requirement makes me think it won't be overwhelming either. In singles, it may be a different story. Zygarde is already one of the best Pokemon in Gen 7 and 8 Ubers without a Mega Evolution. You still need to reach half health to activate the complete form, but Substitute is also a very potent tool for Zygarde in singles. Not only can you use it to manage your HP, but it can also help you avoid a variety of status moves. In addition to that, it can use Glare to spread paralysis around, and Protect to heal more from leftovers. It's been a while since I've sat down and done a long form video without Elias. Feels weird. Mega Zygarde's game plan is probably going to be similar to regular Zygardes in singles. The biggest difference will probably be the attacking moves it runs. Now that it has the highest special attack stat in the game, it'll likely start running special moves over physical ones. Nihilite is an obvious choice, but it also has Earth Power for stab damage against steel types. On top of Mega Zygarde's unbelievably strong new move, it's also very bulky. Its 216 base HP is the 4th highest in the game, behind only Guzzlord, Chansey, and Blissey. It's also got 91 base defense, which is much higher than all the blobs to beat it in the HP department, as well as 85 special defense. When you combine those defensive stats with everything else Mega Zygarde has to offer, this thing isn't going to be easy to kill, even though it can no longer hold leftovers. Regular Zygarde is already a menace in Ubers, so I'm willing to bet that the Mega will be too. On another note, Zygarde is the only other Pokemon that doesn't get a 100-point boost when it Mega Evolves. The regular complete form has a base stat total of 708, and Mega Zygarde has 778. Quite frankly, that's probably for the best. A total of 808 would be higher than every other legitimately usable Pokemon, and I don't think I need that in my life. Parentheses. Side note, I've seen some disagreement over how the move's name is pronounced. In this video, come on, another plane, really? Clearly, I need to think about soundproofing this place. In this video, I've been saying Nihil the same way I say annihilate or nihilism. Both of those words come from the same Latin root, and they both relate to nothingness in some way. That's probably what the translators were going for with this move too, because its Japanese name means light that returns to nothing. Apparently, there's a lot of variation in how nihilism is pronounced though. I looked up the word in several dictionaries, and they all had a laundry list of valid pronunciations. Wiktionary listed a whopping 9 possibilities. Hi, editor's note, did I say 9? I meant 14. And as far as I can tell, the move's name hasn't been said out loud in any official material, so the pronunciation of Nihilite is entirely up in the air, close parentheses. Alright, so those are a few of the highlights, but now let's take a look at some lowlights, starting with Mega Pyroar. Man, that's just a shame. When a Mega Evolution gets new stat boosts, the 100 points can be distributed across up to 5 stats, all of them aside from HP. Unfortunately, Game Freak chose the most basic stat boost possible for Mega Pyroar. They dropped 20 points into each valid category and called it a day. Generally speaking, you want your Pokemon to be min-maxed to at least some degree. Boosting all your stats by a little bit is helpful, but boosting 1 or 2 stats by a lot is better. The quintessential example of that in my mind is Mega Beedrill, who has incredibly lopsided attacking stats. Game Freak subtracted 30 points from its special attack so they could dump even more points into physical attack and speed. In fact, Mega Beedrill's special attack is 15, which is lower than its own pre-evolution Weedle. That turned out to be very helpful for Beedrill. Not only is it way faster and stronger than the base form, but it also gets adaptability to power up its stab moves further. It was a viable glass cannon Pokemon in Gen 6 and 7 UU, and it even had a niche in Gen 6 OU for a time, thanks in huge part to its drastically min-max stats. With that in mind, Pyroar getting 20 points in everything is less than ideal to say the least. Maybe gets a busted ability in the near future, but as things stand now, I'm not terribly optimistic about Mega Pyroar. Mega Scovillain is a similar case. The base form has 108 in both physical and special attack, but it typically relies on special moves in competitive play as of now. It can't learn Flare Blitz in Scarlet and Violet, so Flamethrower, Fire Blast, and Overheat were the way to go generally speaking. It's also pretty frail and not very fast, so regular Scovillain isn't the greatest Pokemon in the universe. When Scovillain Mega evolves, it gets 30 points in both attacking stats, 20 in each of its defenses, and no speed boost. Yeah, that's not great. Having balanced attacking stats is great for a playthrough because you can get mileage out of pretty much any move you want. When I played through Pokemon Scarlet, I used a mixed attacking Scovillain named Scott on my team. In competitive play though, this is not the greatest stat spread. Instead of boosting both attacking stats by the same amount, it'd be better off getting a speed buff or something instead. Alright, that's it, bye. That took half an hour. That should not take half an hour.